Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Danny Pessy Show, where we find the best of the best and bring them to you and talk about them and find out what the heck's going on. So if you're watching this right now, either you are a family member that I've paid money to watch this, or you're in the solar space and you want to be entertained and educated. That's what it's about here at The Danny Pessy Show. Walk, walk, walk. So,
Danny Pessy.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, we have a treat for you today. So if you're tuning in, you do not want to miss this. I've got some exciting guests here that have started up a company and have been absolutely blowing it up top to bottom. Solar specialists. We're here about to do a summer kickoff. I'm going to let them introduce themselves right now. But if you don't know, you Nivo will know, because they're the hottest thing happening in Texas right now. Market share is getting grabbed. Panels are getting slapped on roofs. It's going wild now. And dude, I'm really excited to jam with you guys. We just got here. So welcome to the freaking show. We're here with the owners of Nivo, a solar company operating out of predominantly Texas and Arkansas. And
soon to be OKC.
Well, dude, I've got an exciting agenda to talk to you guys. So, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves really quick and tell everybody a little bit about yourselves.
That's how you're going to do it. Your show.
All right.
But we introduce ourselves.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is John Frampton and Big Bradshaw. So, Tyler Bradshaw.
That's the new thing.
It's the new thing. So Tyler and John own Nivo, and they've been good friends of mine for years. John was one of my regionals back at Pinnacle. It was by far the best regional I've ever had. We produced the most under John, and John got out of the game for a little bit after Solar City. What ended up happening, I was working with John. He's like, Pessy, let's go start Solar City direct up. And I'm like, no, dude, I love selling alarms. And then he went out and took over the whole planet. And if anybody sold for Solar City, then you owe homage to John Frampton. And it's pretty cool that now to see you're back in the game. And after a little persuasion from me, I'm like, John, dude, you got to get in there and throw your hat in the ring. And dude, you guys have been dominating. And you teamed up with big freaking Bradshaw right here, Big Bradshaw. And dude, it's been impressive. And I just wanted to bring you guys to the industry so that they can kind of hear some of your story. And I mean, Tyler, you're starting to get in, throwing your hat into starting your own solar company, and you transitioned from Vivint a couple years ago, and now you're starting to do solar, just like all the top guys. Everyone essentially came from Vivint, started solar companies, and now absolutely dominating Texas. So,
man, if you ever want to feel good about yourself, have Danny do your intro. That's why I was saying I don't want to intro myself. Have Danny do it.
Good point. So,
and technically, we owe homage to Court and Jesse. They're the ones that talked me into going to Solar City.
Yeah,
and making that happen.
And so Court, Reynolds, and Jesse. Folsom, man. So guys, there's a lot of history here, and it's exciting just to talk about that, because I'd like to kind of start where you guys got your roots in the space, because when people come on these, they want to know how they got started, and there's a lot of people that go out and start solar companies. They've got 1 or 2 year experience, but there's few guys that have as much experience as you guys have and have been able to dominate in the door-to-door realm. So, Tyler, why don't we talk a little bit about you and where you got your startup and how you got into the game and when did you start and kind of a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no problem. I got started 12 years ago, and I started selling pest control. Sold that for two years.
Can we edit a fart bomb in there?
I don't think you need it. That was perfect.
Don't need to edit in. That was good.
I sold alarms for 8 years after that. And then I jumped into selling solar there's a couple guys going to church with me, and they were selling alarms too for another company. And I was just talking to them. They said, hey, you can sell a couple of deals through me. I sold a couple deals through them, waited 2-3 months. They got installed. I saw a check for $21,000 come in, and I was like, it's way better than selling alarms.
Dude.
So I jumped in, started selling solar. Was back with Zenith, actually, right at the very start.
At the beginning.
Right at the beginning, and started all like South Texas. Mm-hmm. So did all the jobs down there, and started recruiting a bunch of guys. I moved. My story is I was living in Utah.
Yeah.
I sold my house there, kind of went all in, moved to Texas.
So your mother let you sell her house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My grandmother actually.
It's even deeper than that. Tell them the whole story. You were walking down the grocery aisle. Just you tell them the whole thing. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, so I went to school for finance.
Okay. You look like a finance guy.
I love it, honestly.
Yeah.
I went to school for finance.
John loves
and
finances.
He's the best. I learned mostly from him.
Yeah, it's investing 101 with John. There'll be another podcast for it.
So yes, we will.
Why are you
Let's
ripping
do
on me? like I'm just throwing money on the streets as we walk by.
I saw the Versace underwear, John. I saw it. Where's the butt cheeks? Did you get 50% off?
Yes, yeah. Carry
A
on.
little bit longer. The story is just that I always thought I was going to be in finance, so I was going to go to financial advising, and I jumped into it and I hated it. I was going to make 60 grand that year probably, and I was making close to 200 in the summers, and I'm like, I don't know why I would take a back seat or step backwards to make 60 for the whole year when I could make 200 in 4 months, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I just told my wife. My wife's super supportive. And I was walking the grocery store. I was like just depressed because I did not love finance, and I ended up going. She was really supportive. I just told her we thought we were out of the game. I told her I just want to knock doors, and she ended up saying whatever we need to do, and I love her for that. And so we got back in the game. I started team leading at that point. That's when I really started taking door to door seriously.
Right?
No, I still saw alarms.
Okay.
That was back with Vivint. So I started team leading then, did that for 3 years before we kind of hit a point where I wasn't going to make any more money. I felt like I was kind of capped out. I was growing as much as I could. And so we went all in. I was talking about it with her. And we were actually in Texas at church again. And she felt like God told us to move to Texas. And she told me in the car right on the way home, and I had a big grin on my face because I was like, I love Texas. And so we sold our house there. I knew, 2 people in Texas, and I called Jacob up and I said, hey, I'm going to start an ADT dealer down there, and we should, would you be on? They're like, let's go.
Redhead Jacob.
Redhead Jacob
Wow.
and Miranda right here.
And Miranda's white, dude. Redhead Jacob's the man.
We sent some security equipment to their house. We literally started it off out of the garage, just the 3 of us.
Wow.
And we ended up growing it from that point. The short story is we grew it from that point organically.
Yeah.
Everybody locally in market to about 150 sales reps in about a year and a half.
Jumping Jehoshaphat.
And it was a game changer. Part of it was like, you have to do these things that scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And
So just move to Texas and work out of a garage.
I think that there's a couple key things that we did. And one of it was we just did what we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
And if we paid what we were supposed to pay.
So you paid the piper.
We paid the piper before that for sure. We did what we were supposed to do, and we ended up, we treated people right, and so they came and they stuck. And so
that right there, guys. If you're listening, you take care of your people, and they're going to freaking stick. Because I've just been hearing a lot about companies sticking it to guys when they're leaving or not treating them right, and nickel and diming people left and right, and they're leaving, dude. And that's one really good thing that I've heard is I have my ear to the ground with a lot of stuff that's going in the solar space, and that's not something you guys do here, which is really impressive because people are like, oh, I can't leave this company because I know they're going to take my money from me, and it's crazy. It's sad to hear like how people use that as leverage to keep them here, like fear, rather than just saying, hey dude, that's not how we roll, you're gonna get paid regardless. So
yeah, we're a people company at Nivo, and that's a lot of people look at companies and they look at the product they're selling and they make their decision on who's got the best product, or the next thing is they look at it as the process, who's got the best process, and that, I think the process in solar is really important. And then they look at the people, and we've always viewed it backwards. It's like people, process, then the product. The product in solar, for the most part across the board, is pretty competitive.
Yeah, everyone sells the same stuff.
Not all companies are created equal when it comes to the process. Especially if you're in a sales only company. It's hard to manage that process if you have no control over it. But the most important thing, Danny, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying, is the people. People are everything. The people running the company, the people who are really running the company, which are all the employees out there crushing it.
100%.
And how do you treat each other?
So you heard that first, guys. This is John Frampton. For the guys listening to the audio, he was the guy that pioneered door-to-door solar for Solar City, and and that was one of the things that led that company to be so big until Elon Musk got jealous literally of John's jawline.
Oh yeah.
and said, bro, you can't go door to door because my wife keeps looking at you. So tell us that story, John, because I know there's a lot of people you haven't been featured on a podcast before, and I know I keep getting people asking about. They don't know like how that happened. So if you're watching this, like pay notes on and kind of let John paint the picture of how all of that came to be and that monster that you created and why that experience running the largest door-to-door solar company in the world at that time has now led you to dominate once again. So tell us how all that started with Solar City and your involvement.
Yeah. Well, I think before we even go there though, let's finish on Tyler's piece. It is fascinating. Like when he's talking about, Jacob and these guys, like you go down to Corpus Christi and he literally picked up and moved. And when I first heard his story, it blew my mind because who has the guts to pick their family up and move to Corpus Christi? If you don't know where it's at, pick up a map. It's as far south as you can possibly go.
Yeah.
And not knowing anybody, and just said, "Hey, I'm gonna figure this thing out." And I, for one, am beyond grateful that Corinne got that impression to go, because when God speaks to me, it never works out the way I think it is. I was supposed to have
Arabic.
I was supposed to have right. I was supposed to have a girl.
Yeah.
My firstborn was supposed to be a girl. I had a dream. It was like I could see her face, and then it was a boy, and then my next one was a boy, and next thing you know, we have 5 boys. So I don't have the same. I'm not as in tune as Corinne, but I'm grateful she went, because you go down there and it's just amazing. You see Ryan Rodella and Chris Martinez and Juan and all these guys that just Renee. They all built this thing from scratch, and Tyler literally picked up from Utah and moved down there, and that's we wouldn't have Nivo now if he hadn't done that. It's amazing.
The sacrifice you've done now has led you to be one of the fastest growing companies in the U.S. right now in solar. And I mean, there's a lot of guys that say that, but there's some guys that actually do it. You guys are talking it, so it's been cool.
And I think, thank you, Danny. And I think the thing that separates us is that we do the installs and the sales.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many people that are just sales orgs, which is basically just, that use multiple EPCs. And it depends on the game you want to be in. There's no right or wrong, but if you hold the whole stack, you can really control the whole process and get the installs in faster. And the thing is, not a lot of people, sometimes people don't want to deal with the hassle. Like I know how little margin is running it. And sometimes it's easier just to say, forget it and play by somebody else's rules. But you guys have figured it out. And I'm sure you've enjoyed a couple black eyes here and there, but dude, the fact that you're continuing to produce, it's been pretty crazy.
Well, and if I can keep talking Tyler up, it's Tyler's like the missing link. He's the partner I need.
It's the glue, correct.
I mean, more than that, it's the glue, the brains. Like Tyler Bradshaw. That's one thing we got together a year ago. It was like, Tyler, we're gonna make sure everybody knows who you are, because he's the best kept secret or gem in the industry. And when I first met Tyler, I knew instantly. You could just see he's genuine. He cares, and anybody in our company will tell you Tyler cares. There's just no question. But it's one thing to care. It's another thing to be really smart and understand the business inside and out. And, it's like we do everything but financing and, make our panels.
Yeah.
But, it's largely due to Tyler.
And how fast you've picked it up. It's crazy because, dude, when you get thrown into a position, there's no handbook on how to do this stuff. You figure it out. And guys are figuring out the hard way right now. Like companies are dropping like flies, and the fact that you guys are flourishing and crushing it right now is super impressive on how fast you've picked this thing up. So, dude, it's been impressive. Like just with my communication with you, a lot of door-to-door guys are spacey. They don't have stuff dialed in, but every time I've texted you, you've got back to me. You've been on point. You've handed me to the right people. So you've done everything that a more 10, 15-year company that's been established does, like right off the bat. So,
dude, Dan, if I could help, I think people would benefit to hear from Tyler on how he went from finance to knocking doors and selling to figuring out how to stand up a company, from the sales process to the installation process and everything in between. But maybe Tyler, I don't know if you can talk about what experience you had knocking doors that maybe helped you with this, whether it be your confidence, your people skills.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that I've always had like an interest in business, and I like the finance side of it. And so I've always done well with sales, but I've never been like the top guy. Mm-hmm. And I've been a little bit more of an operator, honestly. So I think it's just a different skill set. But we've made John and I have made some really strategic decisions together right at the very beginning, and we've stuck to it. We also have set some really lofty goals at the beginning, and we've hit those ones. That all of the milestones that we've said that we were going to hit, we've hit. And you're right, there is no playbook to it. Yeah. it's just all problem solving, honestly. And
Yeah.
it's some of it's scary. We take a lot of liability, a lot of risk. But there's a lot of upside, and we see the vision for it, and we want to make sure that we go out and provide a platform for people to go really change their lives and change their stars. Because solar's been a huge blessing for me. I know it's been for John, and we've been able to help. There's 2 people last year. We started our company, and with 10 months of really selling, we had 2 people make $1 million in a year. And that's something that we're super proud of, that we can help somebody go out and make the money, but also give the opportunity for people to go out and
like a real opportunity, not like a pipe dream.
I think what's important too is that they did it without charging the customers an outrageous, outlandish amount of money. I mean, when we say we're a people company, it's our customers are first.
Yeah.
And we make sure that they get a good, fair deal.
Yeah.
And that's something that, we monitor on the back end. But what's awesome is the people that are attracted to Nivo, they want to take care of the customer. And, those that are price gouging, they're turned off by that. So I think it's awesome that you can come here and do that and feel good about it. In fact, I was just talking to Jake Red, our COO, who's just incredible. This guy's he's
amazing.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got like an 800 credit score. It's crazy. I ran it on the way over here.
Yeah, he really does. But he credit score. No, he's been
how does it get that high?
He's been an attorney. He's been a corporate attorney for 20 years, and he was telling me a story about one of our people that called him that said, "Hey man, I've worked at these other companies. Ben Zamonik, who's just crushing it. He's already sold 54 kilowatts so far this week, and he's just a beast." But he was saying how he loves Nivo because he feels good about what he's doing. He can lay his head down at night and he feels good about.
What's cool, honestly, is that we have a great culture at the company.
And
it's
I see it.
We monitor all the production. So we monitor against what the customer actually uses on the back end. And we see if people it's common in solar, right? People will say the customer uses, 10,000 kilowatt hours, and they'll pitch them at 6,000, say that they're saving them some money, right?
Yeah.
And we monitor that. And we very rarely catch somebody who is misleading the customer. And it's, but we don't have to come out and say hey, you're in trouble for that kind of thing, or police it. We police it at the beginning. And it just kind of doesn't happen that much anymore, which is something to say about the culture. So
why that's important, because I literally saw, and I had a conversation with the owner of an EPC recently, and he got a chargeback from GoodLeap from a 85-year-old lady whose son found out she signed up for solar, and basically she went and found, hey, why is this email on your computer? What is this for $97,000? And how did this panel get on your house? You've got a 4 kilowatt system at $97,000.
Awful.
And so they made a complaint to the Attorney General. The Attorney General contacted GoodLeap and the EPC and charged it back immediately and withdrew all that money out of their deals. And then the dealer got charged back, and the dealer was saying, bro, what the F? You shouldn't be charging us that. That's on you. You let him out of the contract. And it's it's crazy to see that's that's a standard that's happening more and more in the space. And it's those type of people are going to ruin it for everybody. And it's just one little old lady, one story that gets on the news that you doing things the wrong way is going to kill it for everybody. For the guys that are out there price gouging right now, be ethical about it and don't kill the golden goose.
Well, and Dan, to talk to you, you brought up Solar City earlier, and that's for those who don't know, they were the pioneers. Yeah, I mean, these guys, Lyndon Rive and Pete started a company, and they're first cousins with Elon, and I think their story's funny. They came up with it at Burning Man. It's hey, let's go start a solar company. But they really had to figure out how to do this. And I remember when they recruited me to come build out a direct sales team over there. They had, I think our average install time was 9 months. And I remember when we were able to whittle it down to 63 days, there was a big gong that we had, and we hit it. Tanguy Serra, who's the president and CFO of GoodLeap, he's incredible, but he was running operations back then, and he was able to whittle it from 9 months to 63 days. And we were freaking out. And now, we've had an install as fast as
5 days,
16 hours.
16 hours.
16 hours? Wow.
And but what's funny is you got to be careful with that stuff, because where Solar City was, did it right is they made sure their customers were getting a fair deal, and they made sure their customers knew what they were signing up for. And back then it was all PPAs, but anyways, it's we're trying to take we're trying to take all the good from these companies
and stay away from the bad.
And stay away from the bad and try to learn from them.
Dude, that's so 9 months, man. Oh my, that's like the same time it takes for a child.
Yeah.
Like a birth of a child. Like you get conceived.
That's right.
Conception.
How does that happen anyways?
And then the baby grows and then it comes out. 9 months, dude. And then you got that down to 63 days. Jeez. 63 days, that's actually the longest relationship I've been in. So that's impressive.
Yeah.
And then 16 hours too, but we won't go into that. That was a trip to Mexico. But Maria, if you're watching this, I hope you're doing good.
But Danny, just real quick, just so you know too, and then I'll stop talking, but we know each other because of you.
Yeah.
It's like this all actually happened, Nivo. So we should be giving Danny homage. And
yes.
Tell the story, Danny. How did this happen?
So John comes to me and he's
all
like,
right, first of all, I've never gone to Danny.
So he's like, Danny, dude, can I pay you $4,000 to consult for me for an hour? So I'm like, yeah, John. So he wires me the money. I get people asking me for time all the time. So he wires me the money.
Of course.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. I'll make some time. So I had my assistant reach out to him and they scheduled it. I showed up at, I think it was the Grand Hotel in Utah, remember? That big, huge hotel, the expensive one in Utah, the
Grand America?
Grand America. So we're sitting at the Grand America and you're like,
oh my gosh, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
And so we're sitting at the Grand America and you're like, dude, this was actually, no, there was, oh God, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, no.
But the first one was John was out of the game. And I said, hey, bro, these kids don't know about John. We got to get you to come speak at my cabin to fire these kids up.
Yeah, well, all right. So the story is,
I bounced a couple times.
No, you're good. But he's one of my favorite people I've ever worked with.
Yep.
He's humble. By the way, if you watch Danny in the beginning and you see how goofy, that's who he is. That's why it's funny. Is he's not trying. Danny was going to be a stand-up comedian.
Yes, I
was.
He's
funny as all get out. So if you look at his Instagram and you're turned off, it's because you don't know Danny. Danny's the funniest freaking person I know. And but I always said I'd be there for you. You and Taylor at the time where you guys started Knock Stars. And Danny called me and he asked me if I'd come speak at his cabin.
Yep.
He's like, hey, Frampton, come up and close us out. And I wasn't in a space to do it. Mentally, I was not in a spot. And so I kind of pushed you off. And then you called again. Yep. And I said, all right, Pessy, I'll be there for you.
Yeah.
And dude, I didn't feel it. And I got up there and we brought fire.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy because I'll tell about the Grand America in a second, but basically I told John, bro, you got to come up, you got to get on the stage. And then basically you went on for like 2 hours and everybody was like losing their mind. And I'm like, bro, where the hell did that come from? And then you just look at me and smile and it's like, you don't need to prepare when it's all right here, buddy. So,
there's so much failure that's gone on up here. I know what to tell everybody not to do.
Yes. So you crushed it. You were a fan favorite, and dude, you blew it out of the park. And then after that, you saw Zach Hillstead. You connected there, and then you guys both got a great gig with the Lumio. I think you were the main catalyst with that.
Yeah, but the purpose, the point is, then we met in the Grand America, and you were just like, John, you can't go work for somebody. You need to go start something. Yeah, you need to go start a company. The short of it is that's how I met Tyler, and it's all to you. And so, Danny, you're the man.
Thank you. About time, I mean, especially, just seeing where you were at, dude. And so, guys, if you're watching this, like the reason I bring that up is because, dude, there's a calling in life, and a lot of people settle because they don't think they're able to go out and do it. And when I saw John, I'm like, bro, you're the freaking guy, dude. You can go out and do this. And essentially, he's done it like 6 to 8 months ago, or 12 months ago, versus where you're at now. You're actually doing it and living it. So if you're watching this and you don't believe you have faith and you don't have the confidence to go out and do what you want to do, dude, you got to get out there and just freaking try it. And you're going to fail fast and figure it out. You're never going to have a perfect situation, but the same effort it takes to go knock doors, you could essentially run and manage a team, and then run and manage and run a business. And so as long as you're continuing to learn and improve and grow, same thing. Like I could have went and started a solar company, but I said I've went and started a consulting company, and the same skill set that I learned knocking doors is the same skill set that I now run my consulting agency for.
That's right.
And so that's my big thing is like, if you're watching this right now, like everyone started from knocking and essentially growing, and it just took that leap of faith. Like with Tyler driving and flying down to freaking Corpus Christi. Like, dude, I don't even know where that is. I think you're honestly making it up. I don't believe it's a real city. It's kind of like Montana. Is that a real place? Like, bro, I've never met someone from Montana.
Is that a real place?
Like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm from Montana. Like, BS, dude. Like, it's not a real city. It's not even a state. And then, and then going out and just trying it over and over again. So dude, it's been pretty cool, man. And so, that's just crazy to see what's happened over the years, man. So,
well, it's funny too. Like the way I got into the industry was the same guy who recruited me.
Jason Strife. That's right.
One of my best friends from high school, and I had everybody under the sun. So if you're wondering, should you go out and do this, or if you're in the industry right now and you're thinking, you have an obligation to do well in this industry, because if Jason didn't go out his first summer and do really well, he wouldn't have talked me into doing it.
Yeah.
And I've had the privilege of managing thousands and thousands of people. You talk about Solar City, we were big, but we did it in the alarm space, and we made a huge splash there. And then
you and Greg Bladen,
then I was able to go to Solar City and make a huge splash, and then we're doing it again here at Nivo, and it's all because my friend Jason crushed it his first summer, and he called me. He's like, I made 40 grand, and he's like, wow, Jason made 40, and I was so competitive with him. I was like, I'll make 80.
I can do that,
and I did. And I did exactly 80. And, as much as I want to rub it in, it's like, he's the one who showed me the way. Yeah. And man, he worked so hard. But the point is like, that led to you and so on. So if you are in this space right now, you have an obligation to your friends and family and people to do really well, because it changed my life. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for it.
Dude, I would have been doing stand-up shows, man, making $18,000 a year. And now I'm making probably $1 trillion. Like I'm not good with numbers, but at least. People commonly refer to me as Elon Musk 2.0. So it's like, that's the thing. If you're watching this, you never know who's going to depend on you to get good at this and then go make a bunch of money or become a better person and then get them involved. Because, dude, if it, like John said, if that guy hadn't have gone and put in the work, I would have been off telling crappy jokes for a nickel a night, and John would have been, shining shoes at the airport as he did as a college intern when he was going to BYU. Studying astronometry. Yeah, it's like astrophysics with trigonometry.
Yeah. You've always been good at that.
Of course. It's my forte.
So John, why don't you, we touched on this earlier, but why don't you tell us how Solar City, how that started and how it ended? Because I know a lot of people have asked me, and like, this is the first time we've ever had a live interview, live podcast. And obviously if you're listening to this, it's not live. So give me a freaking break. So why don't you tell us like the story behind that, how it got started and the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, we touched on Court earlier.
Yep.
Court was he was a sales rep in my region at one point, then became a manager, and then he left and went and worked for another company. And there was an opportunity for he and I to be bitter at each other and talk a bunch of smack. Instead, we didn't. And I'm so grateful for that, because Court ended up going to Solar City, and he was sitting around a table, and it just so happened that a bunch of my old guys that worked with me at previous companies in alarms, they were sitting down with a guy named Hayes, and he was asking, hey, we need a VP. We need somebody to come in and really run this. I think there was like 23 people at that point. And man, I'm forever grateful. Court threw his hand up. He's like, I know the guy.
Yep.
It's John Frampton. He's the best, or whatever. They sold me. Yep. They made me sound way bigger and better than I was. And then Court called me. He's like, hey, listen, I'm going to put you on the phone and enjoy Joey Villanueva, a bunch of these guys were there at this table.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah. And Hayes called me and said, hey, let's go to dinner. And so I went and had dinner with this guy. And 3 hours later, we're sitting at dinner, and he said, so you can really sell this stuff door to door? I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. He's like, could you sell me? I was like, you'd be the easiest person to sell ever. And this guy's like, 6'3", super intimidating, very confident. But I was like, yeah, I could sell you all day long. And we're at this really nice restaurant. And he's like, how would you sell me? I got a gate. I'm like, it's easy. I just wait for the gate to open, and I'd walk in. And so I grab my, and I'm 31 years old or 30 years old at this point, and I do a door pitch right there in this really nice restaurant. Here's this high level executive working at a publicly traded company. And I'm just like, hey, sorry to bug you. You're the homeowner, right? And he's like looking around. He's like, we're doing this? Oh, all right, let's go. And so I just gave him my sales pitch, and he was blown away. Yeah. And it was like, from that point forward, he's like, let's do this. And then, they recruited me to come work there, and we took it from, a handful of guys. Cody Bastion was there, but it was actually Tongi was the one who was putting the bug into Hayes' ear that, hey, door to door is going to be how we're going to scale this. Yep. And we went from, a couple people to a couple hundred to a couple thousand. And, we did billions of dollars in revenue just in that one sales channel. And, over the course of those 4 years, we were, I believe at one point that direct channel would have been the third or fourth largest solar company if it was just its own company on its own. But it was challenging. It was really hard back then. The money was a lot less. People were a lot more reluctant to get solar because they felt like the guinea pig. Whereas today they see everybody has it, and so they don't feel like we're not the first ones to try this. But we did. We went and we built something really special with a really low cost of acquisition. But it was people get paid about 8 times more now than they did back then. Dude. And so it's pretty crazy. Solar City at one point, if you took the next 75 competitors and combined all their numbers, they equaled the same size as Solar City. Whew. So they weren't just number one; they were number one by a mile. Yeah. And I saw an article last quarter, I believe, Sunrun finally surpassed Solar City's 2016 top quarter. Oh. So it took Sunrun buying Vivint, combining those two companies, and 5 or 6 years later, and they finally surpassed their numbers. So it was huge. It was huge, but that was the dream team, man. They had all the Good Leap guys were over there. Yeah. Lyndon Rive was our CEO. Elon was the chairman of the company, and the plan, I believe, was always to merge the two companies together. But the Model 3 was struggling. Who knows? There's a bunch of different reasons, but they took solar. Tesla bought it and put it kind of in a corner, and they're doing a fraction of the installations now that they were. And but the whole industry.
There's an article just came out. 25, right?
No, well, but that's like the solar roof. But but the point is like the whole industry. If you don't know, like we all owe some homage to Solar City,
100%.
Hayes, Tongi, all these guys that paved the way. I called Lyndon, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, and just said, hey, started a company, just wanted some advice, because he did a really good job at making it about the bigger purpose. Yeah. And our tagline back there was believe in a better way. And everybody in the company really did believe. And I was just asking, like, how did you do that with your company? And how can I take some of that goodness and instill it in Nivo? And I called Hayes and Tongi and asked the same questions, and because they're doing such a phenomenal job with Good Leap. And I believe Lyndon said something along the lines of it's $24, $25 million a year they were paying in public in governmental affairs just to fight the fight to keep solar alive. And Sunrun and Vivint were putting in pennies at the time, and now it's on Sunrun and Freedom and all these big companies' shoulders. But all of us smaller companies
needed that.
We needed that. We still need that. And so it's like when people are trying to compete, and it's like Freedom's doing a great job. Like they really are. And the whole industry, it's like this is good for all of us. And when Solar City kind of dismantled itself, you look at, there's so many of these guys that are running big companies. Tyler Bastion's out doing it, Adam Wall. Yep. These are all Solar City guys. Court Reynolds crushing it at Sunrun. Yep. Aaron Wyman's got his company. Yep. The Bastions are running their company in Arizona. I mean, there's just so many really good people that have come from this, and I'm leaving so many of you guys out. It's just, it's pretty cool to see what they did.
So what ended up happening where you feel that just dismantled? I mean, there's like guys are wondering, dude, why were they doing so good? Then all of a sudden it stopped. Like what was the thing that was the final plug on what pulled that out?
I don't know. I've heard a bunch of different rumors about what people think happened, and there's articles and there's lawsuits and Tesla conspiring to buy. So I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different things. But I don't know. I think we just didn't have our finances dialed. The economics didn't make sense. We were doing PPAs back then, and we were actually funding the whole thing. So we were raising tax equity, and we tried to switch to loans our last year. We tried to switch everybody over. It's funny because now people are so scared of selling a PPA. Back then, we were terrified of selling a loan. We were selling like 3% loans at one point, and we were just terrified. But yeah, no, it was more of that than it was. There was no specific group or anything like that because Elon came in and he exited his own cousins. He parted ways with Direct, then he got rid of Inside Sales, and he got rid of, the whole thing.
So he got rid of his cousins.
Yeah, shortly after. Yeah.
Wow, what happened? He said, "Hey, let me try a South African. Hey, you guys gotta go."
I don't know. That sounded absolutely nothing like him. I don't know.
What does he sound like? Give me an Elon. Pretend we're.
Because that's my thing. I impersonate
Elon. People. So what are you telling us right now? Like, you gotta go.
I don't know. I'm just eternally grateful that I was able to work around those people for such a long period of time, because operated and executed on a level I've never seen before. And like I said, the dream team all went to Goodleap. They're there. They're crushing out there. Paul's one of my favorite people on this planet. Matt Dawson, Hayes Barner. They're just, those guys crush it. And like I said, I'm grateful that I was a part of it. But it was huge, and it opened a lot of doors for all of us. So the whole industry, like, we can all be grateful. And Lynn Jurich, she was running Sunrun.
And, she was at Solar City?
No. She ran Sunrun.
Yeah.
But man, I was like, how cool is that to have a woman CEO pave the way inside of a booming industry that at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I think, and Danny, that's my thing. And I'm glad you're asking about this, but because I haven't talked about it.
No one's ever heard it.
But it was one of those things where it's like, in the moment, there was so much pain because at one point our stock was $9 billion. We had a $9 billion market cap, and we were off racing to the moon. We were thinking 100 billion. We're going to merge with Tesla at some point and become $1 trillion company. So when it didn't work out, we were all devastated.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is our tagline is for the better, and a lot of it stems from we want our customers. We want every interaction we have with them, we want it to be for the better. And if it doesn't make sense for them, don't do it. But man, like, all of that happening for a lot of us was for the better. And if they didn't pull the plug, we'd all still be there.
Yeah.
And we would all still be riding that Solar City train. And I for one, I know I can speak for so many people that, like, we're so grateful now that it went the way it did.
Yeah.
Because it opened up so many doors and so many opportunities.
So having what you thought was the worst thing ever has actually turned out to be the best.
Yes.
Because of it shutting down has led you to now starting your own endeavors and creating your own gift to the marketplace.
That pain that you're going through in the moment is where all your growth comes from. And it's so hard to recognize that. So even if you're starting a new job and you're struggling, it's like all that pain you're going through at that moment, it's where your growth is coming from, and you can't see it while you're in it. And it's so hard. You can't see past, your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
But you are growing and you're learning how to adapt and adjust. And any of the pain that we went through, we're still in our honeymoon phase here, but like, it's been freaking hard. We sacrifice time with our families.
Yeah.
And everybody does. These guys are helping us with the podcast right now. It's 10:30 at night. We've been going all day long, and we're going to
4
do it
a.m.
again
in
tomorrow.
Beijing.
But all that
4
pain,
a.m.
Danny, it's all for the better. It's and it's whether it's self-inflicted pain or pain that you're going through as you're growing, trying to build something, or if it's a breakup you had or a divorce, or if you let it will be for the better.
Yeah. And it's all about the way you look at it too, man. I mean, dude, stuff is hard. And at the end of the day, it's like, look, it can either define you or you can let it destroy you. And that's the thing is how you look at the perspective of when tough things happen. And that's why I love Door to Door. It's like, dude, you've got to either step up or you step out. It's like, you got to keep getting better. You can't just do this for years and not get better. It's no way. Or you just continue to go down. There's no in between. So that's what's been cool, man. And to see you guys freaking grow it and blow it, dude, it's been really, really awesome. I'm excited to see where you guys take this thing. And, without going, making this too long, I know we're kind of reaching our time zone for all of this. But, if you had one parting advice as somebody that's afraid to go out and start something new or go out and, try something hard. If you're watching this and you're not in the space, or you are in the space, or you're just having a bad day, what's some really good advice you could give them? And Tyler, we'll start with you. Something like, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about quitting or it's too hard, what would you tell that one person that's sitting on the curb right now and they just looked up, a bird just shit in their face, and they're like, bro, this is tough. Like the bird is like the fecal matter from the bird is dripping down their face, and they're like, bro, this sucks. What do I do? Like, and then all of a sudden the bird lands in front of you and it transforms into Tyler Bradshaw. What would you say?
I'd say get a napkin.
Okay.
Wipe that shit off your face.
Wipe it off.
There you go.
No, I think that maybe Forrest Gump, dude, shit happens. So
love it.
No, I think the best advice is, I think that there's a guy that works with us, Ben Mon. He had cancer, and he was able to overcome it, and he lives his life by a mantra now of victor over victim. And it's just kind of, a lot of us have like a victim mentality. Things happen to us and we don't really like, we choose to blame others for our problems.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not that bird's fault that he shit on your face. It's your fault for sitting there. Right. And so just take ownership and move on with it. And, so I think that, just taking ownership of things and in decisions in your life, and you're the one responsible for kind of where you're going. And if you're not happy with where you're at, then fix it.
Love it, dude. Money. John, what would you say? There's a first year rep. He's like, looks in the mirror, he's in the bathroom, and he's like, bro, I don't think I can do this again. All of a sudden, John appears in the shower, comes out of the shower, fully clothed, and says this to him. What are you telling that guy who's just sitting there like, bro, I can't do this?
It's I'm gonna quote. I'm not gonna quote it, but Jake Red, the guy we were talking about earlier, he always talks about how the ancient Greeks used to say, we suffer our way to wisdom. And I think a lot of the people that are in that moment where they're about to quit, they are one door away. It's like you are one door away. And if you quit, and I can't tell you how many times in my career, back when I was knocking regularly, and you could call all the greats, the Danny Pessys, the Jordan Bastions of the world, you can call them all.
Greg Bladens.
The Ben Zamonics and the Mavericks of the world. And you could ask them, how many times was it one more door? You were going to stop, and it was the very next door that and a lot of times it was the easiest sale of your life. And they're like, yeah, come on in.
Yep.
But I think so many people they're so close to success, but there's a trick. Like, you can't see it.
Yeah.
If you could see it, it would be easy.
Yep.
And so you're kind of walking blindly, just like, okay, you told me I'm close. You told them I'm close. You just have to have faith that it's right there. Just wait, or don't wait. Keep going, but just don't quit. You're probably a lot closer to that success than you think. Danny, my dad told me not to get into door to door.
I remember.
He told me nobody can make money going. He was terrified for me. And my dad's my hero. Yeah. My mom and dad, just phenomenal people. My mom's a risk taker. She was like, you got it. My dad was like, you're going to quit your job. You have a wife who's pregnant. We'd only been married for, 5.5 months. We found out we were pregnant with our oldest. And my dad was just like, don't do it. And man, I'm so grateful I took that leap of faith. But Danny, when I got out there, I was like, what in the hell did I just do? And I'm telling you right now that through the people that I've been able to work with and learn from, we've generated billions and billions of dollars in revenue. And if I didn't take that leap, all the people in my network would be fine. They'd be doing great, I'm sure. I would have found a great job. I would have done, but how many people were affected by that because Jason Strife was persistent and kept on me. And I took that leap of faith and said, I'm going to go do it. So my parting advice is you're probably a lot closer to that success than you think. Just keep going.
Yeah, man. Dude, you heard it here first, guys. So Nivo's crushing it. Tyler, John, thank you guys for taking the time and jumping on the Danny Pessy show. And that's it for now.
Danny, what's your advice for him?
My advice was, dude.
Because by the way, I want to note this. I do this thing where I give the top person in our company last year. It was Sterling. He got a Rolex. Yeah. And you were the first person I ever gave a Rolex to. And it actually, I think it means more to me than it does to you because you never wear it. Or maybe it's so special you don't wear it. But,
it's in my safe.
But Danny's the best of the best. And it's probably hard to sell yourself on your own show, but you're amazing. Danny, you're so good with people. You're funny. You're goofy. Anybody who tuned out because of his jokes, it's like, dude, this is who he is. He's the man.
And they're funny. Guys, they're funny. Just give me a break.
They're not all funny, but,
okay,
but sometimes they can be funny.
Dude.
But what do you have?
So it's just, dude, in life, you get so attached to a specific route that you're going to take. I thought my life was going to be me on stage or going to Saturday Night Live, entertaining people and with a microphone in my hand, telling jokes. And now, because I let go of the attachment of the specifics, now I'm on stage with a microphone. Instead of telling jokes to make people laugh, I'm telling them one-liners to make them rich. So the thing is, at the end of the day, your life isn't going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. So if you're attached to the specifics of how you think you have to get a certain way, you have to let that go and trust. As long as you keep making steps in the right direction, it'll start panning out for you. So like what you said, it's like walking through a tunnel with no light. You just have to have faith that as long as you continue to move forward and don't take steps back and try to numb yourself from the pain that you're going through, eventually you'll get there. Like, I never done drugs. I drink maybe once or twice a year. Like, I've made a lot of sacrifices because all of those are steps backwards. And I know that if I keep moving forward over and over and over again, eventually I'm going to get to where I'm at. And now, although my life didn't end up exactly as I thought it would be, but I'm truly living my dream. Like, I get way more fulfillment on teaching 18, 19, 20-year-olds, 25-year-old kids all the stuff that I messed up on and how to improve their life, because at the end of the day, that's my obligation to pass to the next generation of knockers. So the thing is dude, there's going to be people that are going to be counting on you in your life. And if you're young right now, you might not have kids or a wife, but you will one day, and people are going to depend on you. And so why not now start making the steps to be dependable so that you're not thrown into a situation where you're going to either have to step up because life is forcing you, than just stepping up because you've made the decision on your own. And that's when, has led me to be able to run a successful consulting agency. And, I've never been more fulfilled, and I'm so thankful for the solar space. And that's why I want to try to keep this alive as long as possible. Because, dude, we all know how it was selling alarms. Like, John, I remember you telling me, like, bro, I can't do another year of alarms. Like, dude, I'm done with this, bro. Yep. And now I'm loving it, man. We're finally making money, baby. Let's go.
Well, but it's deeper than that, though.
And it's not just money. It's just we stepped on the course. We stayed on the course.
How good do you feel about what you're doing?
Yeah.
Right? It's like a win-win-win deal. And
the sales rep, the customer, and the planet.
That's right.
Like, everybody freaking wins, dude. And so it's just, you can shove this down somebody's throat and know in 10, 20 years, they're going to be thankful for it. The planet's going to be thankful for it. And, if you put your money in the right place, your money can continue to make money, and then essentially take that money and invest it properly and just double and triple and flipping it.
And if I can offer one more piece of advice for the younger guys listening, I would say, if I could talk to like a young John Frampton, I would say, find a Tyler Bradshaw.
Yeah.
And get as close to him as you possibly can.
Yep.
Because the dude is a rock.
Yeah.
And our personalities, you see him just sitting here stoic, just listening, taking it all in. Like, the dude's got more wisdom than you and I combined. Yeah. And he's just sitting here, he's just chill. But the guys that are like us, Danny, the ADD bouncing all over the walls, it's like, find a Tyler Bradshaw that can level you out.
Yep.
And I just can't tell you like how much my life has changed since I've been attached at the hip with, one of the greatest people I know. I mean, he's incredible at what he does. Yep. And so if I were to give advice to a younger, John Frampton, like, hey, find that Tyler Bradshaw early. Yeah. And listen to the advice he's going to offer you, because he's going to calm you down. He's going to, hey, whoa, relax. Not everybody's out to get you.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
And anyways.
Dude, love that, man. And I did seeing the love between you two guys, man. Just, dude, it's really cool to see, man. And that's the thing, is if you're watching this, your business is your gift to the planet, and the gift to society. And dude, I can see that you guys are sharing your gifts right now, and it's really magical. And I'm excited to, come here and rip for you guys this week and continue a relationship this next 12, 18, 2, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is. I'm excited to deliver with and work with companies that embody the culture that I want to be a part of. So, dude, I'm excited to see what you guys do, and I'm excited to see where you guys go in this next couple of years. And I'm freaking pumped for you. So. Cool, man.
Thank you, Danny Pessy.
So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next week's episode. We're going to be interviewing Beavis and Butthead.